Good afternoon and welcome to the news on Zodiac. My name is Happy Mzembe. The top stories at this hour. ACB cautions public officers on exposing whistleblowers in the fight against corruption. Consultations on a review of the Refugees Act to resume this month after 3 months break. Government set aside 600 million kwacha for the construction of houses for people with albinism across the country. And elsewhere, prisoners escape from Niger jail that holds hijadists. Now the news in detail. The Anti-Corruption Bureau, ACB, has warned the public officers working in anti-corruption agencies against leaking information provided by whistleblowers, saying this is against the law. ACB Acting Director General Hilary Chilomba made the appeal yesterday in Nkoma in Lilongwe during the commemoration of this year's Africa Anti-Corruption Day. He said Africa, including Malawi, needs comprehensive whistleblower protection laws to encourage reporting corruption without fear of victimization by perpetrators of corrupt practices. Franklin Tambaliga has filed this report.
The Anti-Corruption Bureau Acting Director General Hilary Chilomba says there is sanity now at the graft-busting body in as far as the implementation of the whistleblower policy is concerned. Chilomba, however, noted that there is a gap in ensuring total adherence to the same in other anti-corruption agencies. He believes the process of coming up with a special legislation to protect whistleblowers by the Law Commission will deter public officers from betraying informants, thereby encouraging people to report corrupt practices to the body.
If there are these other agencies doing leakages, I think you take it up from there and engage with them so that at least they should stop. The good thing is that even this law that is being enacted, we should come up with legislation that actually will penalize someone who is doing that leakage.
The activities marking the day were supported by the Center for the Development of People, CEDEP, and the Human Rights Defenders Coalition, HRDC. Gift Trappens represented the two organizations.
ACB is supposed to collaborate or work together with different stakeholders, the public, including the civil society. So it is our role as civil society as well to sensitize communities in terms of reporting corruption cases, and that is why we are here commemorating this African Day against corruption.
This year's Africa Anti-Corruption Day was commemorated in Mangochi and Lilongwe under the theme Effective Whistleblower Protection, a critical tool in the fight against corruption.
Meanwhile, ACB Immigration has arrested 8 officers and 2 middlemen at the Immigration Department for alleged corrupt practices in the issuance of passports and other travel documents. ACB Acting Director General Hilary Chilomba says the arrest follows reports of rampant corruption at the department. Chairperson for the Parliamentary Committee on Defense and Security, Salim Bagas, has, however, called for swift action in addressing the alleged corrupt practices. Dixon Chivatu-Gondwe reports.
The Anti-Corruption Bureau ACB invaded the immigration offices in Lilongwe on an exercise the graft-busting agency describes as a response to reports of corrupt practices at the department. ACB Acting Director General Hilary Chilomba told Zodiac that people seeking services at the department have been paying a certain amount of money to get assisted, which forced them to conduct a search operation.
For the passport actually to come inside, to be signed maybe by authorities, one was supposed to pay 50,000. Thereafter now there is a line going to the bank, another 30,000. Thereafter there was a told that, of course, you've done this, paid another 8,000 for printing. So all this was done inside here.
Commissioner for Operations at the Immigration Department, Fletcher Nyirenda, says despite the arrests, they are impressed with progress made so far since the resumption of the services.
Opportunities out there because of lack of passports, to the extent that it took government to engage the temporary contractor so that we're able to bridge that gap and be able to provide the service to the general public as critical as I've mentioned.
Chairperson for the Parliamentary Committee on Defense and Security, Salim Bagas, has expressed shock on how immigration is struggling in the issuance of passports and other documents.
We have found that there are problems here at immigration. There are also problems outside. So if you ask me, my conclusion is that yes, indeed, Immigration Department, they have got problems because of the system they are running at the moment.
On Wednesday this week, the Immigration Department resumed passport services in Blantyre as part of reducing a backlog of applications. Dixon Chivwati Gondwe, Zodiac News, Lilongwe.
Consultation process on the review of the Refugees Act will resume at the end of this month after 3 months break due to unavailability of resources. Deputy Director of Law Reform at Malawi Law Commission, Robert Kandulu, says these consultations are essential as stakeholders need to give their views in the review of the Act, as some have argued that the current Act infringes the rights of refugees. Spokesperson for Inua Advocacy, the organization that promotes the rights of refugees, Brenda Buliani, says this is a great development as the review of the Refugees Act will help in addressing challenges that refugees are currently facing. Zuleka Nanguo has filed a report.
After 3 months of not consulting stakeholders in the review process of the Refugees Act, Deputy Director of Law Reforms at Malawi Law Commission, Robert Kandulu, has told Zodiac that their partners have given them resources and will start meeting at the end of this month. He says in the review process, such consultations are important as stakeholders will give their views on what they feel about the 1989 Act.
The OAU Convention and the United Nations 1951 Convention. So all those matters are taken into consideration when reviewing the law because they are already provided under the present Act.
Spokesperson for Inua Advocacy, Brenda Buliani, has lamented the continued challenges refugees are facing in the country, which she believes the consultations will bring to light and help in addressing them.
I really like to see the Act being reviewed and being amended so that some of the rights that the refugees are not able to enjoy at the moment, they can enjoy them.
The consultations on the review of the Refugees Act are expected to finish in September next year, which Deputy Director of Law Reforms at Malawi Law Commission says is subject to change due to the availability of information during the consultations. The review of the Refugees Act follows calls from stakeholders that the current one infringes on refugees' rights and does not recognize refugees who have not been naturalized, among others. Zuleika Nanguo, Zodiac, Lilongwe.
President Lazarus Chakwera has reiterated that poor procurement systems in Malawi are contributing to the country's retarded development. Chakwera, speaking in Longesa Day at the 2024 Dynamic Leaders and Gatekeepers Forum, said the country needs to change the procurement laws to achieve its development. Dynamic Leaders and Gatekeepers Forum Executive Chairman Reverend Dr. Zaki Kawalala has challenged Malawians to be true patriots and help rebuild the country. John Paul Kayoni has the full story.
President Lazarus Chakwera has emphasized the need to identify excess weight that is slowing the country's development down. In his keynote address on Thursday at the Dynamic Leaders and Gatekeepers Forum DLGF 2024, Chakwera cited the scripture from Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1 to 7, which talks about getting rid of things that hinder ones to succeed. He said for Malawi, one of the things delaying her development are procurement systems, which he said needs to be changed. People who lack competence and capacity to deliver, according to Chakwera, are also excess weight that needs to be thrown away for the country to achieve meaningful development. Dynamic Leaders and Gatekeepers Forum Executive Chairman Reverend Dr. Zaki Kawalala has challenged all Malawians to be true patriots and sacrifice themselves for the country to develop.
I place leadership to be on top of everything. Now, we have had a transactional leadership as a people. We have a president that is a transformative leadership. That's how my assessment. Now, where we are currently, we need people around the presidency that becomes people that are transacting on the ground. We need you heard me make reference to Bingu and Tarika. And I said, I don't know if people around Bingu understood him. And sometimes we have a dream. And dreams are not always arrived at democratically. It will be a person who has a dream.
The Dynamic Leaders and Gatekeepers Forum is an annual all-sector network of influential Christian executives and societal leaders which aims to transform and ensure a prosperous nation under the watch of faithful and vigilant gatekeepers and dynamic leaders.
You're watching the news on Zodiac, and this afternoon you are with me, Happy Mzembe. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back. The headlines as we continue. SCB cautions the public officers on exposing whistleblowers in the fight against corruption. Consultations on review of the Refugees Act to resume this month after a 3 months break. Government set aside 600 million kwacha for the construction of houses for people with albinism across the country. And elsewhere, prisoners escaped from Niger jail that holds jihadists. Moving on with the bulletin. The Minister of Gender, Jean Sendeza, says the government has set aside 600 million kwacha for the construction of the houses for people with albinism across the country. Sendeza said this in Karonga yesterday after handing over 3 houses for persons with albinism. She, however, implored officials in the Ministry of Lands to expedite the processes of procuring contractors in order to ensure that more houses for people with albinism are constructed within a specified time frame. Adam Zondaninge has filed this report.
Speaking during the handover of houses for persons with albinism in Karonga, Minister of Gender Jean Sendeza stressed the need for officials in the Ministry of Lands to consider expediting processes of procuring contractors to construct houses for persons with albinism so that more houses should be constructed within a specified time frame. Sendeza said he decided to note that processes for the construction of houses in the district started in November last year, while the site handover was done in March this year.
The process started long time in 2023 November, and the handover of the site was done in March this year, 2024. You can see the period that it has taken. So that is what we are saying as a ministry, that these houses should be constructed in a speedy manner so that a lot of houses, more houses, can be constructed for persons with albinism.
On his part, Minister of Lands Deus Gumba disclosed that in the current financial year, government has allocated 600 million kwacha for the construction of houses for persons with albinism. He observed that his minister is working tirelessly to address bottlenecks in the procurement process.
There were some few challenges, as you know, any project from inception experienced some challenges, but I should suffice to say that I think we are really on the right track. As I'm saying, 49 out of 67 houses have already been completed and ready for occupancy, and it's only 18 that are in progress. And over and above that, as I said, this is an ongoing process. 15 have been included in this year's national budget.
APAM President Yang Mohamba has called on government to consider reviewing the National Action Plan for persons with albinism so that it should incorporate issues of disaster management for them to have specific facilities to access sunscreen lotion. Reporting for Zodiac, this is Adams Clement Undaning.
The Bankers Association of Malawi has emphasized the need for stakeholders in the agriculture sector to promote risk management skills in farming and enhance climate-smart agriculture for the country to create a resilient agriculture sector. Its president, Philip Madinga, says there is need to go beyond financing farmers and enhance the risk management skills and provide them with technical support for increased productivity. The remarks were made at the 4th Agri-Finance Conference, which brought together stakeholders to discuss ways of making the agriculture sector more resilient. Zuleika Nagu has filed a report.
The Bankers Association of Malawi says farming industry is key in boosting the country's economy. President of the association, Philip Madinga, says bankers are committed to partnering with the country's farmers to go beyond just providing finance for the growth of the agriculture sector, but also providing technical support and innovations.
And I think last and most importantly is also to do a look at innovation and climate-smart agriculture. We know that there's so much climate change, things are changing continuously. How do we support not only the women, youth, but mega farms and others with climate-smart agriculture so that we can get against the risks?
Chief Executive Officer for the Farmers Union of Malawi, Jacob Nyirongo, says, among others, farmers in the country face a lot of challenges in terms of borrowing and issues to do with infrastructure. Thereby, this conference will help address them.
This conference will explore issues around risk management, how risk around borrowing can be tackled, maybe through insurance, through climate smart practices on the part of farmers. So we'll be looking at how we can reduce risk.
The conference is being held under the theme Collaborative Efforts to Propel Agricultural Sustainability Forward. Zuleika Nanguo, Zodiac, Lilongwe.
In sports news, the Lilongwe Golf Club has unveiled plans to hold a memorial tournament between August and September in honor of departed former Vice President, late Dr. Klaus Chilima. Chairperson Jacob Chikoya has told us Chilima, who died in a plane crash in June, has left a huge vacuum in the sport because he always lended his support, and the golf family is still recuperating from his death. According to Chikoya, part of the proceeds from the tournament will go towards charity. In other news, authorities in Niger have declared a curfew in the volatile Tilaberi region after several prisoners escaped from a heavily fortified jail known to hold hijadis. The incident occurred yesterday at the Kutokale prison, located about 50 kilometers northwest of the capital, Niamey. 2 other attempted jailbreaks at the facility in 2016 and 2019 were repelled. Niger's armed forces are stretched by hijadist attacks in the west and protecting the junta which took power in last year's coup. The Interior Ministry did not specify in its statement how many prisoners managed to escape in the latest jailbreak. And well, that's about what we had time for in this edition of the news. Before we leave you a recap of the top stories. SCB cautions the public officers on exposing whistleblowers in the fight against corruption. Consultations on the review of the Refugees Act to resume this month after a 3 months break. Government set aside 600 million kwacha for the construction of houses for people with albinism across the country. And elsewhere, prisoners escape from Niger jail that holds hijadis. You can visit Zodiac Malawi.